G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the YouTube channel. How are you all doing today? Today, we're on, if you look in the Discord, this is Poddy's little Gixxer 250 SF, I believe it is. I'm going to get on the wrong side because I don't care about social norms. But this is, essentially, I was talking the other day about loving the idea of an R15M. And this is just the R15M but bigger. So I'm actually kind of keen to give this a little bit of a cheeky ride. And as they say, put your money where your mouth is, because if I'm going to talk about loving little sports bikes, well, I better have a bloody good time with this. Now, this thing, we had a good yarn beforehand, so the seat of this bike is toasting my ass right now, but the general ergonomics of this thing are not too bad, actually, and it's actually quite a low-to-the-ground sports bike. I can flat-foot both my legs as a humble 5'9" man, but I thought I'd take this for a cheeky cruise just down and back and see what we think of this. So let's give this the humble ride that it deserves. Is it got a lot of guts? God, no. But that's not a problem. You know I love small engines. They can be quite a lot of fun. But you got your handlebars up like a Ninja 400 and all that sort of like smaller motorbikes, which is completely fine. This bike would not really need the full racing clip-on scenario. That would just be egregious. But, oh, I'm already liking it. It's so light. Now, this thing, I think, if I remember from my research yesterday, it weighs about 161 kilos wet and fully fueled. So it is a toy at heart. It's a little tiny thumper. It makes about 22 Newton meters of torque. I forget what RPM it does it at, but it certainly ain't. Look, it ain't breaking any land speed records, but it doesn't have to. These small little bikes, I've taken it, I've asked him, because he wasn't too far away from this area. I said, let's go to this place in Warrandyte because there's a good amount of little twisty sections, and that's where a small bike like this would really excel, and that is in the twisties. So I thought we'd give it a fun little experience out here, so I'm going to ride all the way down this road and back and see just how much we enjoy it. Now, the stock exhaust is going to confuse me a little bit, mainly because I can barely hear when I need to shift this thing. But just off the bat, oh, look at that. It's so nimble. The mirrors, they're okay. I'm not going to adjust it because I don't really need to. Small little tyres, good little turn in. Like I said, we ain't going fast. We ain't doing any of that stuff today. But am I going to enjoy myself? I think so. You don't need a fast bike to have fun, and I'm already loving it. Now, old mate was saying, like, I think he was interested in riding because he's been watching a lot of stuff. I'm glad we're getting the videos out where people are actually enjoying and getting the inspiration to get into riding. And look, this is proof right here that you don't need, as a Lamb's bike, an R7 or a CBR 650, they're bigger, they're heavier, that's for sure. They're more acceleratory, but in scenarios where you're just cruising around twisties, I can assure you, you don't need the world's most, accelerating bike to enjoy. Because when you're in these twistier scenarios, now we're not quite there yet, but when you're in the twisties, it's more about your skill level than about your bike level, you know what I mean? Because most people can't ride a bike in the twisties to their desired skill level anyway. Let's give it a little bit of an acceleration. Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's funny. It's not fast at all. Oh, but it's fun. I love it. This is the kind of bike you can enjoy without really worrying about, risking your license. Because, you're going to have to work hard to do that. But let's get this thing a bit more into that fun area of this road, so I can really truly get and enjoy. Now, I know this is 60, but I know it gets faster, so hurry up. Let's get this thing on the side of the tyre and see how it goes. Now, this thing has no slipper clutch. I think it's just got ABS, and really that's all it needs. I wonder how the tuck position of this feels, because honestly, the tucking position of this thing feels more naked bikey than it does sports bikey, because the windshield's quite low, but you're not really riding a bike like this to its full potential anyway. Most people who buy this bike are brand new riders. They're probably not quite comfortable on it yet. But if you're just riding around doing this stuff, how you got your one hand on your hip, that truck smells like eggs. But when you're just riding around this I'm quite comfortable in. I don't have to worry about anything right now. I can sit up as tall as I want and still touch the handlebars. Let's go give this thing a little bit of a slow down. There's no one behind us. Let's go to 40 and just give it the old... Oh, dude, that's great. Oh, that's so much fun. Now, as I was saying to old mate when I said g'day to him, this is a good middle ground between your RC390 and your R15s, because it's just in between size-wise. It's a little bit buzzy. Now, I don't know what gears you're supposed to quite be in, but I think 5th gear at 80 seems about right for a comfortable sort of speed, because it's definitely... Look, the thumpers don't like to be revving high for too long, that's for sure. But dude, as a first bike, this thing would be fantastic. It's light on the side of the tyre, its turn-in feels nice. Look, it isn't going to get away from you by any means. There's no whiskey throttle risk here at all. Because, like, look, you go up maybe 1 kilometre when you give it a bit of a rev. All the boys out on the cruisers. Oh, man, this is fantastic. I love this thing. I'm definitely very much of the opinion, like, look, I'm a big talker for you, an advocate for your small bikes. And guess what? This is the perfect example of me proving that point. This would be a good bike to take out into your really, really twisty roads that aren't very, like, fast, purely because you got plenty of the torque in the gear you'll be riding in to accelerate to the next corner, but you're not going to go fast enough where the bike gets away from you. And if it does get away from you, it's purely your own fault. Now, look, I know in all cases, if that does technically happen, like, look, if the bike gets away from you, realistically, it's your own fault because you're riding like an idiot, and it's probably not good. But as a beginner, you don't know these things. And this bike truly will not get away from you, because guess what? It can't. It doesn't have the potential to. Now, he's done nearly 7,000 kilometers on it. Good on him. You got a fuel gauge, you got your gear indicator, you got your tacho. Look, this bike's got more bloody dash features than my own bike, dude. But we're going to do a U-turn at this little roundabout here, and we're going to go back the other way and enjoy ourselves, because, oh man, I'm loving this thing. Maybe I'll go to the right a little bit and give it a bit more as opposed to this road, because I want to truthfully get on a twistier road. It's not as twisty as I was sort of hoping it'd be. Oh yeah, we're cruising. But as you're like, this is a great little commuter bike, I'll tell you that much. This thing would go hard as a commuter. You're just cruising around, like you said, you're not working hard. The engine's just lolling away, like you're just cruising. And even when you're pushing it, you're really not feeling it. Like, this is not a bike I'd slap an exhaust on, I'll tell you that much. Same with the RC390s and all. Like, an exhaust is fine, but personally, I wouldn't do it. I just don't think it needs one. But hey, it's your own bike. If you want one, do it. I'm not going to, tell you how to do it otherwise. But let's go give this thing a little right turn here and give it a bit of an exciting run through this section. So. Oh, this thing is so gutless, but it's so fun. And of course, I get stuck behind the guy who can't go the speed limit. What's an 80 zone? Why are you going 60? Now, one thing I do want to test, let's make sure there's no one behind me, is... Oh yeah, your braking power is pretty good. More than adequate for a bike of this size. Like, you look, if a bike that's 160 kilograms, you don't really need all that. Now look, she's not a fast bike. That's for sure. Doesn't get very high up in the speed limits. But guess what? That's a good thing. As a beginner bike, you don't really want the bike to really tempt you to go stupidly fast all the time, because I tell you, that's when problems happen. When you start really sending it to try and get up in those high RPM rev ranges to get to your high kilometers in speeds, well, that's when you get a little bit spicy and you might have an accident and an oopsie. But it certainly gets up. It's not entirely useless. It ain't going to be, like I said, you're not going to be beating everyone off the set of lights, but you will still beat most cars, because it's still a bike, man, and bikes do one thing good, and that's get in front of cars. Now tell me this isn't a lovely little backdrop for today's video. Lovely, lovely brown and yellow Australian countryside, man. Lovely corner coming up. Let's get this thing on the side of the tyre again. So remember, widen in. This is a long banky corner. It was not as tight as I was hoping it'd be. But this is a great little cruising road for this bike as well. But if you bought this as your first bike, look, you might get over its power pretty quickly, and that's no secret. I'm going to say that a bunch because it's true. Even compared to the Rebel 500, this thing lacks immensely in power. I think this is literally half the power of the Rebel, give or take some horsepower. But dude, I'm loving this. It's, like I said, it's a bike that you can happily ride and will still put a smile on your face, and you're not going to be upset about it. You're not going to feel ugh about it. It's not too expensive to buy brand new. Now, this is a newer bike, right? I think he bought this brand new, maybe, I think it was last year or so, 6 months ago. It's still phenomenally new. Everything's good. For a bike in this price range, like, look, you don't really need a slipper clutch. All that's going to do is teach you how to shift correctly, like downshift, so that way you're not just spinning the rear tyre and slipping out of control. Now, if you have a slipper clutch, you might start, and you buy an older bike to do that. Say you buy like a CBR 500, okay? and then you go back to an old school CBR 600, you're probably not going to be riding properly because you might be downshifting wrong and then making your rear tyre sort of lock up or spin. So, but I could happily see, like, I could easily see this being one of those like sort of sportier bikes you can go for a decent cruise with, for a decent distance too. Like I said, I'm not really wristy. A lot of sports bikes, you're very on your wrists. Now, it's not as comfortable as my bike, but duh, I ride a cruiser. This is a sports bike. So if you think it's about comfort, you're picking the wrong bike. And if you do squeeze the tank with your legs, you get a really nice, confidence-inspiring hold on it. Like I said, you can really sit upright and still hit the handlebars, unless you're a real short ass with tiny arms. I don't foresee this bike really being uncomfortable in that regard, because it's really not. For a sports bike, and as far as sports bikes go, this thing is incredibly comfortable. As you can see, the handlebars have a good, 3-inch raise on them, okay? Good little quad lock man as well. So let's go in these little twisties. Bump, okay, bump not too bad. I ran over that little pothole, expected a little bit worse, didn't really feel much. But this is the kind, this right here, this road is exactly where a bike like this lives, okay? Oh, look at that, we're getting 80 as well. So you want to hit a little bit more speed coming into these places. But yeah, look, you get yourself grip planted. So instead of having your straight wrist, you want to get your sort of like screwdriver handlebars. That's how you really want to get in your twisties anyway. But look, it's just so comfortable. It doesn't do anything like horribly. And when you're riding a smaller bike and you're coming from a faster bike, and even if you've ridden faster bikes, the first thing everyone bitches and moans is, oh, it lacks the power. It doesn't do it fast enough. The brakes aren't as good. And you've got your perspective all like askew because of that. When you're riding a bike of this caliber, you're not looking for those things, okay? You're looking at what it is. It's a small engine, lightweight bike. It's extremely lightweight, fun little toy. And that is exactly how you should treat it. Now, I know it's very popular overseas, and I think you were saying India and Asian countries, and of course it is. It's a 250 little thing. Those bikes typically excel overseas. And in Australia, they're not as popular, because obviously we can get up to 660 on our lambs, but dude, this would be a great little bike to just do everything with. It's a good commuter bike, that's for sure. It's good enough to enjoy yourself on the weekends. It's lightweight, it's enjoyable to flick around, and honestly, I don't see you making a terrible decision buying one. And if you want to do commuting stuff or work on it even, say you want to do Uber deliveries, this thing ain't going to be drinking fuel, that's for sure. And if it is drinking fuel, you might have a hole somewhere, because it really shouldn't be. But dude, I'm really happy with this. This is fantastic for a tiny little thing like this. I wasn't expecting it to be as fun, but like I said, I love little bikes. All right, I've ridden a lot of little bikes now, and what can I say? I need to contact one of the boys in the Discord with the MC22 and see if he'll let me touch his little toy. Pause. But dude, I'm telling you, this is absolutely a bike. I'd say if you haven't got your license yet and you haven't got much money, you can obviously buy a CBR 500 or another 250 that's like with 4 cylinders, or you can even buy a little other Ninja 400, Ninja 500s. They'll be faster than this, they'll be torquier than this. There's a bit of a bump there, not too horrible. But in pure enjoyment factor and the price for a brand new bike, this is pretty much unbeatable. And it's a Japanese bike, so you're not going to be worrying about breaking the damn thing. And if you do break it, these bikes are pretty new, so you don't have to worry about it being like a warranty issue. So just, oh man, just get on it and have a good time. I'm gonna have to turn around a bit. I said I wouldn't be too long, but I've gotten carried away. But obviously this is a good bike. You're not gonna get yourself in trouble. You're not gonna have any major oopsies unless you target fixate or you miss a braking point, but you're not gonna just hit the throttle and crash. Because like, look, every other video when I've been riding the bigger bikes, you saw when I accelerate, I lurch forward. I watch. You barely move. And that's okay. It's forgivable. Don't go into a 250 expecting 1000cc performance. That's just stupid. All your controls are in comfortable positions. You're not going to be missing shifts too much. You're not going to be getting speed tickets probably unless you really have poor self-control. But I can see you really enjoying this. This is your first bike. You're not going to be upset, that's for sure. Let's give it a bit more of a lean, shall we? Now, these roads from my memory are not too bad on the potholes, so they're all quite calm and collected. Like, these are good sweep and bends, good for a beginner rider as well. I'd absolutely recommend it. If you're up in Melbourne, come up Warrandyte Way and then go towards Yarra Glen. Some of the nicer roads you can take on a day like today. And remember how I said you wouldn't miss a shift? I just did, but that's because I'm not used to the foot controls. That's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. But for a sports bike, these are very comfy foot controls. They're not too aggressive, they're not too high up. They're quite sort of easy to get to they're more of a naked bike positioning. Now, I know this bike does come in a naked bike as well, So you can get a little 250 Gixxer, all right? Now, they are called Gixxers, Gixxer, which I think is fantastic. It's so funny. The top speed of this bike might, I think, be like 150, maybe 160, which is more than enough. You're going to be able to do everything legally. Freeway riding, look, it's going to be comfortable. I don't care what anybody says. A bike that's this small can still do the freeway. Oh, but you need overtaking power. No, you fucking don't. You can either slow down or you can just pin it and pray. But this thing's good fun. I can't complain. Like, I really can't think of many things to complain about because there's just not much. But let's turn around because we've got to go back anyway. And I don't want to keep going all the way down there. How's the rear brake? Our rear brake's leaving a little bit to be desired. There's that little thing. That's a CB500. You don't see many of them around. That's a rarity. Oh, this thing feels nice to turn around. There you go. That was me pinning it to the speed limit. Oh yeah. Like I said, this is a fantastic, nifty little machine. I'm loving it. But yeah, if this is your first introduction into motorcycling, like it was for Potty, this is a phenomenal starting point. I can't find many faults with it because truly, there's none. The only thing people will say anything about is its power. But guess what, man? Tough shit. You got to start on something. It's like the V-Stroms in this, I think, have the same engine he was saying. They're a phenomenal starting platform. In the twisties, all right, you don't go full speed anyway. You need more control. You need more smarts about how you ride, and that's what makes the twisties fun. It's not just about pinning it and going. If you're buying a bike like this for straight line power, you bought the wrong bike. But if you're buying a bike to commute with, enjoy, truly get into the love of riding, I see no issues. This is exactly what you're sort of after. Because in a position like I'm riding now, you can enjoy a big long day riding in these twisties. Because purely on the fact of it being smaller and it doesn't consume as much fuel, it's light, and it's not uncomfortable. You can just really spend a whole afternoon with it without breaking your back like you would on maybe like an R7 or something. Oh man, this is grouse bike. The engine braking is quite comfortable on it, I'll give it that. It's not as intense as my bike, smaller engine of course, but the engine braking it's competent, it does the job. I haven't found myself finding it too intrusive. Let's see how the clutchless shifting is. Clutchless shifting is easy as well, as it is on most bikes anyway, let's be honest, but clutchless shift feels great on it. I've got a smile on my face. What more can I say? And if you're looking at potentially picking one of these up as your next bike, or first bike for that matter, I'd say this is a very good first bike. I can't see many people upgrading to this unless you're in a country where you're stuck at a 125 and then you're allowed to go to a 250. All right, if that's your case, I can see this being an upgrade for you. But if you don't get that luxury and you can only ride like a 250 as your first bike, or you're not confident on a bigger bike, this right here is a 10 out of 10 choice. It does everything you need it to without it being scary, problematic. It's very inviting. The suspension is very comfortable for a sports bike and for introducing you. It leans over nicely. Nothing it does will take you by surprise. It gives you all the information you need. Obviously, there's no riding modes on a 250. Come on now. It doesn't break the bank. You got all your things. You got your fuel gauge, you got your tacho, your gear selector, and your speedo, which is everything a learner needs. You got all the controls, your lights, your flashes, your indicators, and of course your starting and your kill switch. It doesn't have anything else. Obviously, it's not got suspension you can adjust because, come on, man. What are you asking for in this class? You're just wishful thinking. But it's got everything you need. It's got no excess creature comforts. It's got no slipper clutch. That way you can at least teach you how to shift properly so you know not to downshift too aggressively. And if you do, you might have to learn how to handle that too. But if this is your first bike, you will learn every fundamental you need to be able to ride any other bike. And the only skill that you need to practice, which you might struggle with because obviously you're coming from a 250, is throttle control. Because going to a bigger bike, obviously the throttle will do a lot more when you do this. But the handlebars are in a comfortable position. The legs sit in a nice position. The seat is a little firm, but that can always be changed. It's a bike. Now, the windshield is not my favorite for a sportier bike. It's not the best at creating a bubble. Is that an issue? No. You're not going to be tucking to go fast on a bike like this. You can still tuck just fine. It's just you're not going to get a perfect bubble like you would on a leader bike or a good 600, okay? You might be able to change that windshield to a little bit bigger, but there's no need. I reckon if you own this bike, you'll be happy to see it represented. And if you're looking at getting it, pull the trigger, man. I'm more of the opinion of get a motorbike that is interesting to you. You don't have to get the best possible thing available. If a bike speaks to you, then get one. I've notoriously said that I love the R15M, and I would happily buy one as a meme bike because I think they're so slow that they're fun, and I probably will in the future. If like I said, if YouTube takes off, I'm buying one as a giveaway, and that is an indefinite decision. I think they're so much fun, and they look so much better than they have any right to because they modeled it after the R1M. So the R15M is just, it's a good meme, and I love everything about it because of that factor. Let's get this thing in a, well, let's go in a higher gear at a low RPM, see how it feels. Maybe 6th gear at 60. Now, I know it's not, you're not supposed to do this, but dude, it is just, honestly, it's pretty comfortable. You still accelerate, you still... Okay, little 250. Why are you doing me like that? It's accelerating constantly. I didn't expect it to be so happy to rev at this speed. Why do you want to keep going? Okay. Colour me surprised. I didn't expect it to want to keep revving out even at like 60 Ks, but it do like revving. So let's head back to old mate now. Yeah, look, the bumps, you'll feel them a little bit, but it's a sports bike, all bumps are felt. But man, honestly, I'm going to skip every video I had to post tonight. I'm going to edit this one and post this one. This is wicked. Oh man, it feels so good on the side of the tire because you can accelerate and you're not going to feel it move. It just slowly starts picking up, or it slowly starts slowing down. Oh, I love it. It's so good. Now, am I going to buy one? Obviously not. I'm not going to upgrade to a smaller bike as a primary. But if I was getting into motorbikes and this was the only option I could get, I would not be disappointed. And I don't care what you say. Oh, it's too slow. You're probably riding faster than your speed limits anyway. Now, one thing I know is very common in America, and this is being told from another American mate of mine, is on the freeways, just because it says 60 or 70 miles an hour, people take that as more of a suggestion and they go a bit faster. Fair enough. You might notice it in those kind of roads that it's not quite doing the speeds that everyone else is. Okay, but in Australia, when it says 100, if you're doing 103, you're liable for a fine. That's how strict they are about speed here, all right? So we don't really get to play around with that whole 100-ish law, okay? So for this kind of riding where you have to obey the speed limits, this bike is 10 out of 10, all right? You're not going to be worrying about fuel. You're not going to be worrying about your comfort. You're not going to be worrying about the power getting away from you. You're just going to hop on it and enjoy yourself, and that's all a bike needs to deliver to you. And if you think otherwise, well, you're after different things. But if you're just interested in getting into bikes, you just want to ride, you just want to get in the twisties, you don't care about going and Mark Jesus around everywhere, look into one of these, okay? If your budget calls for something bigger, like a Ninja 4 500, fair enough. An RC390 is a fun bike too, but KTM's having their whole bankrupt situation. CBR 250s from the 80s and that, also in the 90s, very good bikes, indestructible little four bangers if you like your little 4-cylinders, fair enough. If you want something a bit more powerful, maybe then don't go for this. If you want your little CBR 500 or your CBR 650, I can understand why you'd probably say no to this, okay? In that instance, I won't argue with you. But if you're just looking to get into riding and you have nothing else to care about and you don't want to spend too much money on a newer bike, that is, and you want to enjoy being able to buy your gear and the bike itself, then say no more. Gixxer 250 baby SF. Or the naked bike. The naked be fine. Ooh, look at that view, dude. That's wicked. Good views. Now, this being a bike that's very light, if you're going through a lot of crosswinds, you're probably going to feel them. Because it's a sports bike. Ooh, getting away from the Harley boy, or whatever. I think it was a Harley boy. Every cruiser's a Harley until you look at it closely. If you're in a place with a lot of crosswinds, being a very light sports bike, it's going to take all that wind like a land barge, like a land sail, sorry, or a boat sail, whatever the hell it is, words. And you're probably going to go, whoa, up and over, right? So if you're doing a lot of open road riding and it's very windy, maybe you'll feel it more so in this bike than, your other options. But hey man, motorcycles do what motorcycles do, and if you know how to ride, you know how to avoid such scenarios. Come on, van. I've got places to be. Putt, 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 putt. Oh, and that is the power of the overtaking. The guy let me through, and I was like, oh, it's not going to like doing that in the gear. I probably should have stayed in the lower gear, but guess what? It's not my bike. I don't know it very well. But, oh, I love it, dude. I love it. Absolutely a blast to ride. But I'm going to enjoy this for the rest of the ride now. And you guys will see me when I pull up. So let's transition. Man, wheeling this thing is not too hard at all. It's so light, dude. I love it. Ugh. Oh, I've gone a bit too wide here. Let's just adjust that a little bit there. And of course, she's here. She's ready. Come on, kickstand. Let's off and lock. Dude, look at that thing. Gixxer SF. Honestly, fantastic first bike. Doesn't look too bad. It's got your Gixxer look. And dude, what a good time. Otherwise, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Do take it easy, keep it cheesy. And as always, ride safe, ride well, and peace. Bye.